Awesome. Well, it looks like we're live. First off, my name is Josh Bundy. I'm a senior here at Doane University, graphic design. First off, thank you guys, all of you, for attending and taking an interest in the stuff that I have designed over this past semester. Um, a little bit about me. I'm from Montana, came here to play soccer, which you're going to see there's quite a big influence that soccer has on, the work that I did for this and some of the influences on how I created that work as well. Um, Also, obviously, we are not in person, which a little bit of a bummer, but staying safe. We gotta go virtual. This what you're viewing right now on the screen is Art Steps. It is a VR, almost what's the word, exhibition, I guess you could call it, to present this work. So I know for me and my classmates who don't really have that opportunity to have a physical show, this is the next best thing for us. So um, please deal with me a little bit. It can be a little bit touchy and a little bit quick. So I will do my best to keep everything smooth and moving to where you don't want to throw up halfway through it. Um, yeah, but it's been really nice working in this medium. Being able to do this, virtually, has the virtual world has kind of taken over with COVID. So being able to have an art show despite the pandemic has been really nice. And I know a few of my professors, a few of my classmates as well will definitely agree with that. It doesn't quite do justice of doing it in person, but this is the next best thing for us. So yeah, I'll start now. So what you're seeing, this will be available, I believe, after this presentation to go through and look through at your own pace if you'd like. But throughout this, I'll talk about the pieces. I'll go over, the inspiration, the design process, all that kind of stuff, for each of the pieces. And then, after the show, you're more than welcome to go to this site and look at everything. I believe a link will be provided. I'm sure Professor Gall will tell me where you guys can get that. But for now, I guess I'll just get started. And if there are any questions, please feel free to comment. I know Professor Gall is going to be monitoring that stuff, so she can either hop in and let me know, or she'll put it in this chat we've got. So your questions won't go unanswered. It just might be a second before I realize that there is a question. So to start off, I'll be taking you through the guided tour. Um, so before I start, this piece of paper right over here, this is my artist statement. I'm not going to go over it. It's just a bunch of reading. It's not very fun, but just a little overview about it. It kind of talks about the influences that I had for this project, for the jerseys, for the advertisements, the social media posts, as you'll see when I go through everything. Yeah, it really just talks about some successful examples in the past, how my personal life has attributed to the things I do in here and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that'll be there for you to read if you so desire. But starting off right here, this is the front side of one of three jerseys that I will present to you guys today. This is the home jersey, and this is all proposed for the 2022 World Cup, assuming that the pandemic doesn't keep going on for that long, which I don't think any of us really want. But yeah, so all of this whole project is, a visual identity and a kind of social identity as well for the U.S. men's national team in that upcoming World Cup. So it's a few years away, but still thinking about it. The design process for, jerseys and a lot of clothing, even shoes, I know a lot about that. That it takes a lot of time. So some of these jerseys that you'll see coming out, whether it's basketball, football, soccer in this instance, they've been designed for, the previous year. While they have a jersey on, they're always working on designing that next jersey. So being able to kind of tap into that here and be working on a jersey that's not going to come out in theory for a couple years has really been interesting. And seeing how trying to predict trends and how the jerseys are going to look in a couple years and play on par with that has been really interesting, and it's something I truly enjoyed. But moving on to this jersey in particular, um, the you'll see in all the jerseys there's an aspect of the stars and the stripes in one way or another, which obviously the stars and the stripes, the U.S. flag, it's been a pretty prevalent piece of design work in terms of the U.S. jerseys. There have only been a couple jerseys in the U.S.'s history that have really played with the stars and made them a prominent feature on the jersey. The most recent one was, I believe, in 1994 for a World Cup. But I wanted to take the stars and I wanted to make it a little bit more deconstructed, not just so formed to where they're just something on the jersey. I deconstructed these stars, made a lot of these jagged cuts, these jagged lines to convey a sort of motion and almost chaos that you get, playing soccer, where you don't really know exactly what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but there's all this movement, there's all this energy kind of running around, and I tried to replicate that, especially on the front side of this jersey. Another thing you'll notice about all the jerseys, you will see right here the Nike swoosh. Obviously, the U.S. men's national team is sponsored by Nike, so including that in the design was pretty pivotal, as well as the USA badge. Obviously, that's pretty par for soccer jerseys. You have your crest on the left chest, and then your jersey sponsor on the right chest. And then going more into the color scheme, you'll see this with a few, with actually all of the jerseys. They all have some incorporation of the red, white, and blue. So this one being the home jersey, being the quote unquote main jersey that the fans at home are going to see more in theory. Including that red, white, and blue for me was imperative, especially in the home jersey. Being able to have the stars, which are such a prominent feature of the U.S. flag and the U.S. as a whole, with the red, white, and blue, I felt was very important. And I believe that putting it on the jersey in the way that I did conveys, that American pride, but also the movement and the energy that is more specific to soccer in this instance. So moving on to the back. So front and back, pretty simple. For this back, I chose to leave it essentially blank, aside from the name and the number. Name and the number are usually pretty typical. You see some jerseys don't have the name, but with the US's style and the people the US is representing, being able to put the names on the back of the jersey was one of those things that could not be overlooked or skipped for me. Then you have the gray coloring to offset that white, the white back of the jersey with the red stroke around the characters. The stroke is usually, or it's actually really prevalent in just about all soccer jerseys you see, especially if you have a two or more than a two color jersey, to where adding in that third color, that third aspect as the stroke, is really successful, and it helps differentiate the name and the number from the back, even if the name and the number is a different color. Moving on to the second jersey, this is the away jersey. So again, the stars not the stars, the stripes are very prevalent on the sleeves. Looking at a lot of past US designs, one thing that I felt they were really lacking was a design that really capitalized on the sleeves, which is what I went for here. Is the blue to very, very dark blue gradient, obviously having that blue aspect of the red, white, and blue on the base of the jersey, and then on the sleeves you have that blended stripe pattern that tapers off at the end. Just looks really, really clean look, very, very symmetrical look, and it's something that, as you'll see in a few other pieces, that are coming up. You will see how the stripes play in with, the whole thing, the whole design, and the um, the kind of social media aspect, the advertisement aspect, and how they all mesh together, and how the stripes not only make a good design, but they also add to the value of the socials and the advertisements as well. What else do I have? The Going back to the importance of the stripes, a couple of the most popular U.S. jerseys are really implemented these stripes very, very well. The most recent one was the 2016 Gold Cup, which is a competition between the North American and Central American teams. So with that jersey, the stripes were on the chest through the bottom of the jersey, with nothing on the sleeves. So when I looked at that, I wanted to replicate that, but in an opposite way, to where the sleeves were the focal point of the jersey, and everything else was a clean supporting cast in a way to it. Another jersey that was really popular was the fans refer to it as the Where's Waldo jersey. It's one of the most recognizable U.S. jerseys, and even one of the most recognizable jerseys, period. With a very simple white and red stripe all the way across the jersey, the front and the back, with a blocked out area in the middle of the chest, in the middle of the back for the jersey numbers. So being able to look at the ways in which the stripes have been used successfully versus the ways that they have just not been used at all was something that I really wanted to implement when creating this jersey. And then moving on to the back part, I'm sure you could already see it. You will notice on the sides of the jersey, right in here, how they are white. That was a style choice where a lot of jerseys, even the most recent U.S. jerseys, they usually have some stylistic element going down the sides. I wanted to keep it very, very clean, very minimal, to where it plays on the stripes, but it doesn't take away from the stripes. So obviously, you've got the horizontal stripes being the most prominent piece of this jersey, but then you also have these two vertical stripes going down the sides that kind of break up the front from the back, but also tie into that white stripe going, or the white stripes going horizontally across the upper half of the jersey. So this is moving on to the alternate jersey. Um, there have been some cases where national teams design alternate jerseys. The reasoning behind an alternate jersey versus just a home and away is very often colors can clash. So if, say, the USA played Puerto Rico, to where their flag's colors, I believe, are red, white, and blue as well, and they have that same take with their home and away jerseys as the US does, there's a very big issue in, you know, keeping these two jerseys separate, the two teams separate. So that was my reasoning behind designing an alternate jersey. And this jersey was not necessarily inspired by the Stars and the Stripes, but more, more recent happenings in the US, the kind of disunity that we have had. I went to create a jersey that brings that unity back. So as you can see from the bottom to the top, you have the thick white chevron design going up, and it gets thinner and thinner. So it's blending into that red chevron. So depending on how you look at it, it can be white with red or red with white. And that was my goal, was to create a jersey that meshes the two designs together, but on the same jersey. And one of the best teams, one of the best jersey designs that kind of exemplifies how this is intended to bring together really a nation, is the 1990 Germany World Cup jersey. Very simple design, with a simple design across the chest going up and down with their blended German colors. What makes that jersey so important and what made it so successful was that was the first World Cup for around 40 years, 40 or 50 years, that there was only one German team, as before then it had been an East Germany team and a West Germany team. And the way that the jersey was designed, the way that it was advertised, it was supported not only by the players, the team, the coaches, the higher ups to do with German soccer. It was the way that the fans really grasped onto it and supported how it worked, supported what it stood for. So when looking at the things that are going on in the USA today, a lot of racism, sexism, all these things that divide us, being able to have a jersey that um, kind of shows, through something as simple as, meshing two designs together, two chevron designs with two colors, showing that these can mesh together, these can work. And ultimately, by making it look good, it shows that there's nothing wrong with, these two groups coming in. So a very long-winded way of saying this jersey was designed in relation to supporting unity and representing unity. But that was the thought process behind this jersey and how it came to be made. Now, this is the back of the same jersey. You can see it's a little bit different in terms of that unity on the back. This was to the chevrons pointing up towards the name, showing that, hey, this player is representing this country. The name on the back, and it's a cliche in soccer. The name on the back represents the crest on the front. So showing, for example, this player Giovanni Reyna, he's a 19-year-old kid who's playing in Germany right now for one of the best teams in the world, where this one player is supporting an entire nation. So being able to use the chevrons as, a focal point to where your eye is drawn up from the back into the name to really accentuate, this is the player who's supporting this nation and, doing all these things, trying to, take our minds off of something that's going on in the world right now. So being able to mesh the player with the nation was the thought process that went into the back here. And ironically, with this jersey, it's the complete opposite of the previous away jersey, to where the sleeves on both the front and the back are left completely blank, which again, a style choice where I wanted to funnel the focus to the middle of the jersey, to the design on the chest where the heart is, where the crest is laid over on the designs. So being able to mesh and show this unity, not only between people of the nation, but also a player and a nation, a single person in a nation, for me was the inspiration that came with this jersey. So moving on to the advertisements and the social media posts, what I chose to do with this, instead of having one general design that works for all games, I chose to go with something that really hasn't been implemented a ton as of today, with different socials and different advertisements for each jerseys. Again, the advertisements for the jerseys usually stand alone. That's usually pretty typical, but the social medias, which I'll get into more in a minute, are tailored to really each game the team is playing. So, and you can see it on the right, where if the team is wearing the home jerseys, these are the kind of posts. This is the template or the design style that's going to go into the social medias, whether it's used through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram, however it is used. There's a template, there's a design style, there's all these things that are specific to each game, to each competition that the team goes through. And being able to see, I know a big thing for me when I was growing up was watching a soccer team, I would always try to wear the same jersey. So if they were at home, I would wear the home jersey. If they were away, I would be wearing the away jersey. So that was another inspiration in terms of, differentiating each of the socials to the jerseys they're representing. So I'll talk more about this advertisement as it's focused on the advertisement. Let me see. So one of the big things for the USA men's national team is the idea of this ceiling, to where the USA doesn't care about soccer. The USA is more concerned about football and baseball and basketball. They can't play the sport that the world's been playing for years. So the shattered glass kind of representing, breaking through that ceiling that, is perceived for these young men, as we have a really young team, which is another inspiration for each of these very movement based designs, being able to represent and show, just through a jersey and through a jersey advertisement, that being able to break through what's perceived as possible, and kind of garnering that excitement, garnering that support from the fans, from the players themselves. All of those things they were really what went into the design process, the thought process surrounding this. Obviously, a little bit more obvious would be the jersey itself breaking through that glass, breaking through, quite literally breaking through the word expectations, breaking everything in its path, just to show that there is no limit to what the team is capable of doing. Then I'll move on to the socials for the jersey as well. Going through these two, what primarily the U.S. men's national team Instagram does is they will normally post a final graphic, kind of updating the fans on the score. What they don't do a lot of are, individual goal posts. So, for example, Christian Pulisic is one of the players on the team, one of the star players on the team as well. And being able to have these kind of graphics tailored to individual players, to where fans can be scrolling through Instagram, not knowing there's a game going on, and they see, oh, there's a goal. Christian Pulisic is right there. He must have scored. I wonder if there's a game on. Maybe I can go try to watch it. That idea of bringing people into the game through social media, as a lot of people are constantly on social media. I know I am. I know if I would be scrolling through something and I'd see, oh, someone scored. Dang, I didn't know there was a game. I'd really like to go watch that, or just turn on the TV and try to find it on whatever channel it is. So being able to relate those social medias back to, not only the team, but individual players as well, for me was very important. Was definitely something that crossed my mind numerous times while designing, was how can I not only bring in this information and make fans and followers aware of what's happening at this moment, but also how can I create something that, is exciting to look at, is very interesting, is very motion and movement based, and how can I make that into something where the fans say, oh, I should go turn on that game. I should run down to the bar. I should run down to the nearest restaurant and see if the game's on. That kind of a thing. Again, tying into that idea of community and, bringing people together through soccer, which is something that, the US team has done for years. Even the women's team has really done it as well with their successes. So being able to bring in, inspiration from those teams and those ideas was really beneficial in my design process and the way I thought about each and every piece. So this is a glitched advertisement. It's for the away jersey. What my thought process through this was, again, playing with those stripes, playing with the movement of the lines and how everything works. Let me see what else I have on this. That idea of, chaos, the you never know what's going to happen. That was something that was very prevalent in the design of each piece, and the movement. How can I convey the amount of movement that goes on in a single soccer game, in 5 minutes of a soccer game, into an ad, into a social media post, even into a jersey. So when looking at this jersey, it's clear the jersey is the focal point, but the glitch segments, the different colors, surrounding it, almost coming through the jersey, coming from the seams of the jersey, where it's conveying that motion. It's conveying, oh, there's some pink here. Oh, there's some blue, yellow, green. What's going to happen next? What's the next color going to be? Where is it going to be? That's really a direct translation of how a game of soccer works. And then going on the text, don't blink. After talking about chaos, the quick movements, the you never know what's going to happen next. It really is as simple as you could blink and you can miss it, especially with the speed and the talent and the creativity of a lot of the up and coming players for the U.S. team, being able to convey just how that movement works, how that chaos works, was very important in the design of these pieces. And then moving on to these social media examples, again, following, the idea of a goal, bringing out this individual player, bringing out a final score, going over the score line, who scored, what the final score was, all of that, bringing that information into one area to where it's as simple as, a fan or a follower is really just moving their thumb and they see it and they're like, oh, that's good to know. They won a game today. Maybe I'll have to check when they play next, see who they play next, if they're winning, if they're doing good. So being able to bring the fans in with the social media, with the design of the social media, and then bringing that design of the social media from the design of the jerseys, from the design of the advertisements, those kind of things, how everything's completely tied in and how everything works together as well. Yeah, and very simple, but effective background in showing that movement, showing um, that chaos, that differentiating color with the red and the gray and the slight blue, kind of referencing that red, white, and blue as well. And then moving on to this is my advertisement for the third jersey. Now, playing on the chevron, on those red lines, on the movement, but bringing in that black background so the jersey really stands out from it. That was my goal for this jersey. Being able to, convey again that almost controlled chaos was more so the thought process for this one, where these lines are moving in all different directions, but you see some of these lines are connecting, some of these lines are reacting to each other. Some end here, but others, just change their angle slightly because of the other lines. Very reminiscent of how a game of soccer is played. It's not only proactive, but it's also reactive. So being able to, combine those two elements, which are such polar opposites, was definitely a challenge when creating this background in this design. And then going into the type in it as well, the caught by surprise, the words are hiding behind the jersey. You never know where they're going to pop out from. They're creeping through these chaotic red lines, really trying to catch you by surprise in the literal and figurative sense as well. And then moving on, these are again two more social media posts. These are for the alternate jersey. Very very reminiscent of the previous examples, but also very clearly different. They are very clearly related to the alternate jersey, and how the alternate jersey is working with with that design and vice versa, how the design's working with the jersey. So being able to again bring in the players to recognize their individual achievements, whether it's in a game or whether it's over a course of a few games or a course of an entire season, being able to bring them in and make people aware who maybe don't just watch national games, who maybe watch club games. So, for example, DeAndre Yedlin, who is in the top graphic, plays for a team in Turkey. I don't watch Turkey. I don't watch Turkish soccer. I doubt very many people do. But being able to bring him in and not only create that support for the player, but see people say, oh, he's doing good in Turkey. Maybe he's going to be really good when he comes back or when he joins the national team, goes on duty for the national team. So being able to, again, bring that player, that individual into the entire system for me was very important, very, very useful as well, because I know me personally, there have been some US players I don't like, but then again, I've never seen what they've done at a club level. So maybe it's completely different. And if it's as simple as showing people, hey, this is what else he's doing. Um, he's good in other areas. Maybe he just is struggling right now. Being able to build that support for for the team, but also the individual players, and reminding and running back to that idea of unity. Maybe we don't like a certain player because we don't like how he plays, but he's on the team. We are a team, one nation, one team, as the US MNT usually talk about a lot with their posts. And being able to kind of bring that all in together and just making it a supportive, atmosphere and a supportive fan base is really something that I thought these socials and these jerseys, these advertisements as well, um, just bringing it all together. Ooh, huh. The US, I'm being told the US team is currently playing a game. I love to see that. 1-0 up against Costa Rica. Well, if only they were wearing these jerseys, I think they might look just a little bit better, but I might be a little bit biased. Um no, that's everything as far as the main points I wanted to bring up. What I will do is, bring in some aspects as far as why soccer jerseys, the importance, that kind of thing. If you'll give me a moment to get some water. So I did talk about it a little bit. The value of soccer to me and the importance in my life. I don't know if we have any other people who play soccer who have played soccer. I mentioned I'm from Montana. I came here for not only school but also for soccer. So for me, that was very important in terms of the the design and the choice in doing this project. Um, if you'll give me one moment, my charger is not plugged in. Let me fix that. Well, if there's ever been a moment for me to consider buying a new laptop, it would be when using it for 30 minutes drains 100% of the battery. So I apologize for that. Um, you just couldn't make this up. But going back on, why soccer and why this project in particular, um, let me share the screen. Everything's going to pot. Okay, there we go. So, soccer to me has been something that's been a major part of my life really since I was 2 years old. I remember, hearing stories from my parents about me playing in rec leagues and getting mad at other kids when they would score. And just these kind of stories that really show just how important and how much of an impact this game has had on my life. So being able to mesh, the love of design that I have and the enjoyment I get from that and meshing it with the enjoyment of, watching soccer, playing soccer, these kinds of things, for me was something that, almost lined up too well. And it made too much sense to design jerseys for this senior exhibition, and it was something that I truly enjoyed because being able to go through see all of these past jerseys, how the design has evolved, how some of these teams have been incredibly successful with their branding and their social media and these kinds of things, but their team is terrible. And then vice versa, their jerseys. There were teams that their jerseys have been one plain color for 30 years, but they win absolutely everything. So seeing the um, the difference in these two, and trying to be able to create a visual identity for a team that is not necessarily doing great, but they're not doing bad. Trying to, you know, look at these teams whose designs are incredible and turn you know, those teams with incredible designs who get this huge fan base because of the designs, being able to take that energy, that ability from their designers, from their teams to create the support and apply it to a national team that truly already does have a ton of support, but maybe not necessarily a ton of belief in them. So being able to mesh those two aspects together was really the challenge for me, and a challenge that I really was excited to take on. And it was very interesting. It was interesting to research the information that I uncovered, especially going to this jersey in particular. I know I spoke about the 1990 Germany World Cup jersey. How being able to find that in my research and how that was a direct inspiration to how this jersey was designed and how this jersey was thought about, the thought process surrounding it. Um, and looking at a more recent example of maybe a team that has not necessarily done very well, but got a ton of support because of their jerseys, was at the most recent World Cup with the Nigerian national team. Nike released these green and white jerseys with incredible designs. There's a ton of movement, a ton of excitement. It really represented the team that the jerseys were designed for. This rapid movement, this truly much more chaotic than the designs that I have created. Just pure chaos on this jersey that all meshed together. Being able to see how that jersey influenced millions of people. It was, when it was released, it was the quickest jersey to ever sell out. They sold millions of jerseys in less than an hour, and people would buy them and try to resell them. Buy these jerseys for $150 and resell them on eBay for $500, showing just how much the design had an impact on this team as a whole. And being able to see that, and I experienced that myself. I know I tried to get a jersey desperately, but they sold out too fast. So having that firsthand experience of how it works, but also seeing from an outside perspective the support and the excitement that something simple as a jersey design can create for an entire nation, for one of the biggest, or the biggest, tournament in the world, was very fun to research, very fun to look at, very fun to learn about as well. Another jersey that was really successful was the U.S. Women's national team, when they released a blue jersey. Now, granted, it released for the men's team as well, but the blue jersey coincided with a Women's World Cup, or it was either a World Cup or a She Believes Cup, which people got really excited because they really liked the jersey and they really liked the team. So it was a good mesh, and you could see the success of the jersey mirrored with the success of the players. As when you win a major tournament, your fans are going to be very excited, and your fans are going to be more likely to follow you, to support you, to do all these things. So being able to see all of that, and just looking through all this research, I loved learning about these other jerseys, these other teams, the designs, how some of the designers went through their process, what their inspiration was, where these ideas came from, who they were designing for, all these different things, where all these different cultures had different influences on the way jerseys were designed. Being able to go through that, see that, learn about it, and then implement it myself was one of the best parts of this project, aside from actually finishing these pieces and seeing where they came from to where they are now. It's been a very fun project, and one that I could truly say I'm very proud to have done as well. And then, Professor, I don't know if we have any questions quite yet. I can keep talking about a few things as well. Okay, so for those of you who would like to look at this, um, and click through at your own pace, there is a link to artsteps.com, which is, again, the website, the platform that the show is on. It is in the chat on both Facebook and YouTube, if you're interested in going through that and looking at all of that as well. Let's see. So another kind of slight interest of mine, that kind of led to the jersey design, was I'm very much into the design of shoes, and going down that rabbit hole way too many times, being able to see the thought process behind that eventually bled over into the design of jerseys and the design of clothing and that kind of stuff. So my interest in the jersey design has been something that has really kind of been always there for me, but it was not something that I truly realized until this year, being able to truly go back and look at all these incredible designs and how everything was done, and being able to do that myself as well. um, I felt I felt that was very fun. I really like to learn about just about anything sports, and being able to delve into, you know, not necessarily the sport itself, but the jerseys, and the way that not only the jerseys but the apparel, all these different things, how they all mesh together and really have become these really great designs that I took a lot of inspiration from. And going back to the shoes, where the the shoes are these three-dimensional designs, and looking at these jerseys, they're also three-dimensional, but having to design them on a two-dimensional platform, and that overlap between the spaces, how these 2D spaces, you can go through you can create a three-dimensional piece on a two-dimensional screen. Just being able to adjust to that for me was very difficult in the beginning. Um, I like to have things, hands on, being able to look at them and working through a screen to design jerseys, especially in the pandemic where there's not quite much I can do in person, was very interesting, and it was definitely a learning curve, but something that, as time went on, I got used to and was, ultimately pretty thankful to be able to, take this original, two-dimensional design, implement it on a three-dimensional design, a three-dimensional space, and then, even after that, bringing that into, art steps itself, which is, a three-dimensional space, being able to work in these different like mediums almost was was something that I felt was very beneficial in terms of a learning curve, but something very very valid and valuable in me going forward, or me continuing to design pieces, continuing to design jerseys. But before I started this project, I had no idea how much I would truly enjoy it. That was the one thing I was very pleasantly surprised about, was just how easy it was to get started. Simple as you can see the jerseys, and I'll move back to some of the jerseys, and I'll show the examples that I'm thinking of. But as you can see, you've got these ripples, you've got the three dimensionality of the piece, and it really truly is as simple as going in and creating a mock-up in a three-dimensional way, and then implementing these patterns, these designs, these ideas onto this three-dimensional space, being able to do that. And that not only relates to jersey and shirt, or clothing design, but it can also relate to a lot of other things, packaging, into like I mentioned earlier, shoe design. It's close enough to clothes, but being able to take these mock-ups and make them your own, or make them my own in this case, and being able to design all over them, do whatever I want to the mock-ups to create the colors, the looks I want, was something I enjoyed very much. Something, learning wise, was very valuable to me, and something that ultimately in the future I would love to do, whether it's by profession, or whether it's something I'm doing for fun in my free time. This was one of the few projects that I truly have enjoyed working on in not only the time that I've allotted for it, but working more, outside of that time. So if I was saying I wanted to work on this jersey for 2 hours a night, there were many nights where I was spending, 3 or 4, not because I had to, but because it was something truly enjoyable to me. And that really circles back to my love of soccer in the game. Not only playing it, but watching it, seeing the design aspect that is included in soccer with the jerseys. And now, after taking so many graphic design classes, being able to look at the advertisements, look at the billboards, look at all these things that most people miss, that a casual viewer might miss. But with how much I've learned about the advertisements, the design, everything that goes into it, even something as simple as the typeface, looking at all of these things, was something that throughout this project I found that I really truly enjoyed. And it was it was not only a learning curve, but a welcome one at that as well. There any questions yet? Anyone have anything that's really bothering them they just have to know? I'll take that as a no. Let's see, what else can I tell you guys about? I know one of the biggest challenges, talking about these jerseys and creating them three-dimensionally, was, creating those ripples and those three-dimensional aspects. Um, not quite as in depth as or not quite as simple as just putting a design on something, being able to bring out this sorry, give me. And then what's very interesting, and I'll show you more about art steps as well. So what's cool is that this truly is a three-dimensional room. So what I just ran through, I mentioned it at the beginning, was the guided tour, which will also be there if you want to go click on that link and click play at the bottom, like I've been doing, rather slowly though. But it really is as close to having a physical show as you can get. I believe it works with VR if that's something you're into, but yeah, I know. Let me scroll over here. So I'll try to do this to where it's not too sickening. I know some of the socials were a little bit zoomed out, and this is, again, please bear with me. I'm not the best at this. But some of the socials were slightly zoomed out, so I will see if I can get a bit closer of a look with some of these. There. Exit out of that. I'll move over to these ones as well. And one thing I did forget to mention, if you do go into art steps and you decide to do this, whether it's the guided tour or if you just do this like I'm doing, quote unquote, walking around in the space, what you can do is you can come to these socials, which are a bit smaller, and you can click on them, and it'll bring up a little bit of information. So it's a digital print, obviously, and then the actual sizing of the document as well. So it does make it bigger if that's something you need, but no, it's a very cool tool and very useful in terms of what we've been trying to do in terms of having as close to a physical senior show, a senior exhibition as possible. So I'll go through all of these and make them a little bit bigger and hover on them, because I know they weren't the easiest to see in the guided tour. Then what's really nice is if you do it that way, you don't have to worry about, as you have seen me desperately struggle with, walking around the space and trying to get, the rotation and all of that stuff right. It'll take you straight up to the piece, and then you can click that box. It'll blow it up for you so you can see it in a little bit more detail, a little bit better as well. And yeah, obviously, all these players that I've used are in fact US players who have played for the US. So no, I haven't just picked up some random Spanish players that I like and put them in my jerseys. I've definitely not done that. Ooh, I have a question. Let's see. My favorite soccer jersey of all time. Any country, and what inspiration did it play in my designs? It's a good one. That is, oh goodness. There are a lot of jerseys that I like. I I will definitely tell you that there are far too many for me to number, but one of the big ones, I referenced it a little bit earlier, was the USA Where's Waldo jersey, quote unquote Where's Waldo jersey. But the red and white stripes were very very successful, and they conveyed that movement, and almost made a pop culture reference with it being uh, the Where's Waldo reference, which a lot of fans maybe took out of context, or made that idea themselves. But regardless, it was something that was very interesting to see, and very 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 successful in design. And then looking at my jerseys, this one for one definitely plays on those red and white stripes. Um, Definitely has quite a direct inspiration from that jersey. Granted, the stripes are angled into the chevron, but as far as I'm concerned, there was definitely a good amount of inspiration when it came to this jersey. And then additionally, as I attempt to move around here, going back to the away jersey, I believe I had mentioned the Waldo jersey with this jersey as well, with the red and white stripes. Obviously, a very obvious inspiration with straight horizontal lines. Um, yeah, but very good question to whoever asked that. Thank you. I just read the question, not the name, but thank you for your question. I'm being told, oh, we've got about 3 minutes left. If there are any last questions, um, please feel free to put it in the chat. Oh, looks like I looks like I have one from Evan. How long to design one of these posters? It really depends. So I will I will go over to this one, because this one was by far the longest one, and I'll try to keep this question short, or this answer short. But this one, with all the layering, all the individual design work that I put onto this poster, probably took me somewhere between 8 and 10 hours, which sounds terrible, but I know for me it wasn't bad at all. I'd mentioned it before. I truly enjoyed this project, and putting 8 to 10 hours in one piece, for me, I really enjoyed it, and it was something that I just kept adding to and kept refining, just because I liked the way it looked. But as far as the other two jerseys, I would say, or I guess an average for all three, I'd say maybe around 5 hours for the initial design, getting the initial ideas onto the page, and then maybe another hour or two, tweaking everything just slightly here and there. But yeah, thank you for your question, Evan. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I guess we have about 30 seconds left. So once again, thank you to all of you who have come here, taken time out of your night to watch me present, and go through the work that I truly had a good time creating. Um, if you have if you have any questions for me, I'm sure most of you know how to contact me, and if not, I'm sure you know someone who knows how to contact me in terms of getting those questions answered. I'm more than happy to talk about whatever. But thank you all for attending. Have a good night, and stay safe, stay healthy.